What's going on, everybody? My name is Tragic Almighty. Welcome back to the Almighty Analysis. Today, we're going to be reacting to a video called Downfall of the Democrats, The Truth About the 2024 Election. It's by content creator Shoe on Head. If you haven't watched any of her content, she's super funny, sarcastic, talks about a lot of controversial stuff. If you're sensitive, I probably wouldn't recommend watching this video, or really any of my videos, to be honest, because as much as I try not to offend anybody, I'm not perfect. But yeah, this is something that's really interesting to me because despite the blue sweatshirt, I have very conservative ways and conservative leaning like ideals. So obviously I voted for Donald Trump. And that's surprising to a lot of people when I tell them that, because I'm a black man and they just assume that because Meg the Stallion was shaking her ass on stage, someone who, as far as I know, black men don't even respect or listen to, that they think because they have that they got my vote. At no point did I ever hear anything about Kamala's policies or anything like that, and or what she would do for the country or what she has done for the country. And so for me, I kind of have my own ideas of what happened, but I'm interested to see her little twist on it because, like I said, she's fucking hilarious. Like every time I watch this stuff, it very much fits to my dry humor. So let's go ahead and get started in the reaction. I will leave a link to the video down in the description without my commentary in case you don't want to hear my loud ass talk. Let's go. Struggle to win unless she speaks to the long neglected working class. And that's it too. It's like, I know too many people that are busting their ass standing on the corner with picket signs saying like they're on strike because they're not getting paid enough.
Missouri will go to Donald Trump.
It's clear now that Donald Trump has picked up key support among Hispanic voters despite all the things that he said.
Donald Trump will win the state of...
And that's so funny to me because it's like, despite all the things he said, I can't find anything where he has said something negative about the Hispanic culture, to where he said anything negative about the African American culture, anything like that. He has came out and said that people who aren't from this country and are here illegally should not be here. He never said anything about the people who came here legally. He never said anything about the people who have, put in that work to like do it the right way. Because most of those people, they value being here. It's not just something where they come and think, oh, well, now I can just do whatever I was doing over there. It's a place for opportunity. It's a place for change. And when you got cartels and things like that coming over, that is completely different than somebody who did it the right way because they want a better life for their family. Same with the black thing. I'm a black man. I've never heard him say one thing that has made me go, ew. Like, I don't like that. So the fact that MSNBC, The View, whatever it is, tries to push this narrative, that is what's pushing us further and further away, because we're not stupid. Like, we see and we have ears. What do you think I'm going to react to more? So a politician talking about politics, or Kamala Harris sitting backstage while Beyonce, Meg the Stallion, and a bunch of other people I don't care about speak for her and tell us, hey, if you're really black, you'll vote this way. No, stop that shit. It ain't working anymore.
North Carolina.
That the state of Georgia will go to former President Donald Trump.
The evening was getting increasingly somber as people realized.
And then they show pictures like that when it's like it's not representative of anything.
The great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Kamala Harris is not winning.
So you won't hear from the Vice President tonight? News Decision Desk can now officially project that Donald Trump will become the 47th President of the United States.
Do you really think that the Democratic Party is fighting for you? The overwhelming answer is no.
And when you got people like Bernie Sanders, who was their best hope to probably win, saying that, wow.
Well, well, well. What have we learned? Nothing, apparently. I regret to inform you, everything I predicted about the election in my last video came true, and more. Men did overwhelmingly turn out for Trump, especially young men. But I was wrong about one thing. Young men weren't the only ones who came out in droves for Trump. Nearly everyone did. The madman took everything, every swing state, Pennsylvania, Georgia, my home state, New York, was closer to flipping red than Florida was to flipping blue. Turns out
I truly believe, and this is like, I don't know other countries. I've never been outside the United States, so I don't know. But I truly think like there are always going to be times in the United States where we go through something that is like trying to force change on us, and then we snap back into reality just like that and realize, wait a second, you're taking away everything that made America what it was, and we're not going to stand for that. And that is one thing I will always be proud to be an American for, is because it's like we may take things for a little bit, but after a while we're like, wait a second, this isn't right. And as dumb as we can be sometimes, I don't think that we like, what's the best way to phrase it? As dumb as we can be sometimes, I think that we have the best intentions. I don't think we do things like without being influenced by these media sources and things like that. So definitely freaking something that I feel more people need to just develop their own opinions, do research, and stop watching TikTok. God damn, that place is a cesspool.
Cheney as brat wasn't the best message to win over voters. Dems did so bad it really had me thinking, damn, did we steal that election? So what happened here? How did it go so wrong? Is it too late for the Democratic Party, or can they turn this around? Will the Democrats learn from this, or will they double down and get worse? In this video, I'm going to go through all the excuses and the copes the Democrats and the broader left are coming up with to avoid accountability. Read some silly tweets, watch some silly news clips, and even give the Democratic Party some advice on how to win 2028. Don't worry, Republicans watching this. They won't listen. Maybe in 2050, under the barren Trump monarchy, someone might come to their senses, but not anytime soon. If you only watched or read most mainstream liberal news, it really seemed like Kamala had this in the bag, which is why you should try to get your news from a variety of different sources.
Exactly what I was saying.
That reminds me. Before we dive into this election dissection, let's give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, a sponsor I've been working with for over 4 years now, Ground News. Ground News is a website and an app that gives readers an easy and transparent
So
way
what she
to
was
read
saying,
news all across the political spectrum. Every story comes with a
I'm
quick
talking over
visual
this
breakdown that helps
because
you
I don't
understand
care.
the full story and make sure
What
you're
she was
getting on both
saying
sides.
is so
One of my
true,
favorite
though,
features
is
of Ground News
because
is the blind spot feature,
they
which shows you what news stories have been covered
very
by one
much,
side of the
like,
political spectrum and
have
ignored by the other. For example, here is a story
preferences,
about how
like
Bernie Sanders is
MSNBC
open to working with Trump on capping credit
caters
card
towards the
interest,
left.
and there's
Fox
23
News caters
sources on
towards
it,
the
and
right.
89%
You shouldn't
are
listen to
right-wing.
either of them.
No left-wing sources have covered the story. And
Listen
this
to
story
the
about how
politicians
two women have
themselves.
told the ethics panel that Matt Gaetz paid them for sex. 31 sources, 61% of them left-wing. You can even see who owns these political outlets. Ground News also makes it really easy and fun to compare headlines to see how ownership or political bias can affect the framing of a story. For example, this story about how a man was arrested after allegedly a stabbing spree in Manhattan that left 2 dead and 1 injured. This left-wing outlet says, man arrested after alleged stabbing spree in Manhattan that left 2 dead, 1 injured. This right-wing outlet says, 2 dead, 1 critically injured in Manhattan as knife-wielding maniac launches unprovoked stabbing spree. I have been using Ground News since 2021 and I am just obsessed with this app. It is a great and easy way to stay informed. Plus, it really helps me see how both sides frame the same story so...
I personally, not to hate on her advertisements, don't think that you should ever get in the habit of looking at apps and things like that, because it's never going to get you where you think that you want to be. Like, all of these things that you say you want, if you ever watch a YouTuber or anybody and think, oh, I feel like I could do that. They just got lucky. No, they just were consistent. Like that's a big problem for me too, is like as much as I want to do this for a living, I haven't put in the work to deserve that yet. So until I do, I can't expect those results. And things like, swiping on Tinder, scrolling through Facebook, Instagram, that shit ain't gonna help you. Like, you guys gotta get it. Like, we're only here for so long. Nothing's promised tomorrow. And I feel like that is, like, now is, especially with everything that's changing the way it is, it's more of a sign than ever that it's like, it's time to, like, nobody's gonna save you. Go out and get it yourself.
Differently. Best of all, for Black Friday, I am offering 50% off their Vantage plan, which is the plan I use to access all their amazing features. This is their biggest discount of the year, so go to ground.news/shoe, use the QR code here on the screen, or use the link in the video description down below, and subscribe today for only $4.16 repeating per month. I personally think what they're doing is very important because it helps approach the news in a more balanced and transparent way, and I feel like we really need that nowadays. So thank you, Ground News, for sponsoring this video, and thank you, the viewer, for not skipping the ad. Right? And now, let's get back to this
forced me.
dissection, shall we?
No point in saying good morning.
Oh, this lady's a
Because it
fucking
certainly is
Looney
not
Tune.
one.
From blaming the American people to blaming Joe Rogan, the Democrats and the media are having a hard time coping with their loss, and I don't blame them. It was a pretty big loss. Embarrassing, quite frankly. Donald Trump overperformed in nearly every state, with basically every demographic, and the entire country seems to be shifting more red. Everyone was so sure dangerous, devious, dastardly Donald would never make his way back into the White House to steal democracy. And he did it. With democracy. Anyway, I got a lot of comments on my last video from new fags like, wait, you're left-wing and you hate the Democrats? Yeah, man, that's a pretty common thing. If you're shocked that I'm left-wing, maybe that's a sign you need to take a step back and evaluate some of the preconceived stereotypes you have of people. Not all of us are crazy blue-haired socialists, no. Some of us are crazy brown-haired socialists. But for those of you who are new here, hello, I am Shoe on Head. If you ask the right wing, I am Stalin. If you ask the left wing, I am Hitler. Fiscally far left, culturally centrist, socially retarded.
And see, this is one thing that I was saying. It's like, I am a right wing. Like, I've voted that way for ever since I could vote, and I'm 32 years old. I listen to her. I'm not judgmental of her views or anything, and there's even some that I agree on most of the time, which should show you that this, like, division between the two is like all media. It's all media. At the end of the day, we're American people, and sometimes, like, if I'm, even as someone who votes right wing all the time, if there is a better left wing candidate than the person that is, like, running on the right, and I feel like they're better for the country and, like, to keep America the way it, like, should be, then 100% I'm not looking to just stick to one side. And that's what really the left wing needs to learn, is that you don't own anybody's vote. You don't own the black people's vote. You don't own Mexicans' vote. You don't own, like, colored people's vote when you've done nothing for us.
But if you really must put me in a box, it's not that hard to pin me down. I'm a populist. Think Huey Long if he was a 5'3" Italian New Yorker woman who still did her hair and makeup like it was 2008. Put a pin in that Huey Long name, by the way. He's gonna come up later. I grew up in the 90s and the 2000s. My political awakening was jibjab.com. The first time I voted for Obama. I was ready for that hope and change. Instead, we got the crushing of Occupy Wall Street and more drone strikes. And from there, it only got worse. I voted for Bernie in the primaries in 2016, and I watched as the Democratic Party did everything in their power to destroy this man twice. So it is safe to say I am a little biased when it comes to the Democratic Party, but I don't think I've hated them more than I do right now. The truth is, my last video was way meaner and way harsher than the final product turned out to be. When I showed the video to my assistant, he basically had an intervention with me, and he was like, listen, you need to soften this up a bit. It's a few days before the election. You went too hard. Well, the election is over. And I'm sorry, River, but I'm going hard. You idiots. You morons. You imbeciles. Kamala Harris? Really? That's who you threw up there? The one who dropped out before Iowa? The one who got blown
She sounds
out
drunk
by
half the
Tulsi
time.
Gabbard?
Kamala Harris,
Why
not
didn't
shoe
you
on
hold a
head.
primary? Aren't you the fucking saviors of democracy? Where the was the democracy? Oh, big congratulations to Tim Walz on being the first white male DEI hire. It didn't work. The DNC completely neutered that guy, reduced him to this weird token white man. Hello, fellow men, I too play football. But hey, men weren't the only demographic you completely dropped the ball with. Trump made incredible gains with women, too. Oh, and all those never-Trumpers you tried to court, the people who like the old, respectable GOP. You know, the old, respectable GOP that led us into a pointless war that cost us trillions of dollars and millions of lives. But we're at least nice on Twitter. That GOP. Yeah, they didn't come out and vote for your ass either. So you got Liz Cheney to tag along for what? For f***ing what? You raised $1 billion and ended up $20 million in debt? Where the hell did all that money go? Maybe you should have blown it all on celebrity appearances that did nothing. Or maybe it was spending 6 figures on a single-use set for the Call Her Daddy podcast that didn't even hit 1 million views. I want to see a full audit of this campaign, because I wouldn't be surprised if...
And that's exactly it. They want so bad to, you know, try to get the male vote and stuff, but yet they're so fucking out of touch that it's disgusting. The Call Me Daddy podcast, where people, like, the only man that I know that's been on the Call Me Daddy podcast is Jack Harlow, who is a fucking guy who caters to everything women want. If there's some word or if there's some bullshit trend that's going on, Jack Harlow is probably doing it. So it's like Call Me Daddy podcast, but yet you won't go on Joe Rogan. You went to the Call Me Daddy podcast, or you set up a set for that, but you can't do Joe Rogan because you're scared of being asked real questions. That's crazy to me. And I don't think either podcast should influence your vote, but at the same time, it makes you look weird when you know, is it the Call Me Daddy podcast or Joe Rogan? Which one do you think is going to get you more views?
This is all like a big money laundering scheme, because honestly, that makes more sense than this being a legitimate presidential campaign. Then, they had the audacity to beg their supporters for money after she lost. How about you? How about every DNC consultant should have this map sewn onto the inside of their eyelids? May they never have a peaceful wink of sleep for the rest of their miserable lives. So that is how I feel about the whole situation. But what do Democrats and the media think? What do they think the Harris campaign did wrong? Why do they think Kamala lost?
I think Harris ran a really good campaign. If there's one person I do not blame for this loss, it is Vice President Harris.
When that is the main person that you should blame. I've never seen someone come out and brag openly about how much money they made, and then spent it on just bullshit. You spent money on Lizzo? When the fucking last time has Lizzo been relevant? Oh, wait. You want to cater to men, and then you got Meg the Stallion. You got Cardi B, who rap about how they don't need men for anything. You got Beyonce, all the single ladies, pretty much talking about, you know, they don't need men. And then you got Lizzo, Miss Why Are Men Great Till They Gotta Be Great. And then you wonder why men didn't fucking care about your stupid fucking campaign, lady. God, I hate you, Kamala Harris.
This is gonna be a long fucking video. The media this morning saying Dems need to have a reckoning. No, we don't. We can't be blamed because we expected Americans to be who they always claim they are. Democrats don't have a messaging problem. America has a racism problem. Kamala ran a flawless campaign in 100 days, and I refuse to let y'all gaslight me into believing anything other than that. She lost because she's a woman, and a black one at that.
I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign.
Listen, I'm no political analyst, but losing seems like a pretty big flaw. Truly, don't overthink it. It's because she's a woman, she's a black woman. Don't overthink it. In fact, don't...
Actually, here's your fucking problem, is because you keep bringing up the fact that she's a woman and she's a black woman, and that is the only thing and that you have, and the only reason you have why you voted for her. Fuck. Like, it's like we're in a fucking insane asylum.
Think about it at all.
And Kamala Harris lived up to our dreams. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. She ran a remarkable 107-day emergency campaign full of joy and hope.
Kamala Harris was the perfect candidate, and she ran a beautiful campaign of joy, empathy, and unity. Joy and empathy and unity doesn't motivate people to go to the polls. No wonder Republicans had incredible turnout and so many Democrats stayed home. This isn't Steven's universe. You just can't, like, joy and empathy and unity your way out of not being able to afford food for your family. CNN has a story titled, "Where the Harris Campaign Went Wrong." Nope. I won't read it. Harris ran a great campaign. The story should be titled, "Where the American People Went Wrong." La la la, I can't hear you. La 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 la, I can't hear you. It's not me, it's you. La 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 la. The cope is unreal here. They don't even want to listen to criticism. They really think they did absolutely nothing wrong. They only see this as a Trump win and not a Democrat failure. Kamala Harris was not a flawed candidate. America is a flawed country. This incredible tweet
Then leave.
is from Shannon Watts, who is on the board of Emerge America, which is an organization that, quote, shows Democratic women how to run for office. Yeah, we're never getting a female president.
Joe Biden's been a phenomenal president. He's lived up to so many of the promises he's made. There's one promise left that he could fulfill, being a transitional figure. He could resign the presidency in the next 30 days, make Kamala Harris the president of the United States.
Whoa.
It would absolve
Wow. What the f*** is this Make-A-Wish president shit? Like she's a little kid who wants to play pretend. Oh, just let her for a few days. What? Please tell me we're not gonna get the first female president out of pity. Well done, America. You failed them both. The people cannot let politicians down. That's not how this works. As a politician, you are not owed anyone's vote. You have to earn it, and evidently she didn't earn it. We already went through this in 2016. Donald Trump beat both female candidates. Donald iron sealing Trump. It's not our fault the female candidates you're putting up are dog shit. Give us some good female candidates and maybe people will vote for them. At this rate, the first female president is going to be a Republican. Mark my words, it's bound to happen. And if it doesn't happen, this was a joke. One of the groups that showed up overwhelmingly for Trump was Latinos. One of the major stories of the results is the significant surge in support for Trump among Latino voters. Trump nearly erased the Democratic advantage in this group, narrowing the gap from 33 points to just 8. Democrats gonna build the wall 50 times higher after that one.
Because imagine being told over and over again that you have to vote a certain way because you're this color. Otherwise, you're not really of that culture.
Have to have a very, very uncomfortable conversation about Latino voters in this country. Me watching him deport the Latinos and the Arab Americans after they voted for him. And Cinco de Mayo.
To all you.
See, that's the problem, is that me watching them deport all of the people after they vote for him. Hey, newsflash. If they could be deported, that means they're not of this country, which means that they can't fucking legally vote. Dumbasses. That doesn't affect them, but the problem is that you lump them in with all of those group of people. You lump all the black people in with the group of rioters that are freaking saying defund the police when it's like, I don't think that's a smart idea when there's people rioting in the street. That is fucking, it's just like common sense is dead. It's all about clicks and views on fucking TikTok, and that is what's sickening, is that a person on TikTok can come out and say something and have it be more true than fucking facts.
Latinos that voted for Trump, I hope he mass deports you and your entire family, whether you were here legally or not. You gotta go.
I know for a fact that most
what a
Latinos
racist
for
thing
Trump
to say.
have undocumented family members. So if you know of a Latino who voted for Trump, I urge you to call this number and report said family members.
Good job, Democrats.
Soldiers. Spiteful liberals.
A district that's 97% Latino went 75 percentage points for Donald Trump. Why?
Misogyny.
It's on the, no,
That's
it's on the
why.
border.
It's
the border
misogyny.
crisis is on
Yo,
the border.
that Sunny girl on The View is probably the most racist, hateful woman ever, and she spread so many lies. I'm glad that they finally made her start like reading those things off the teleprompter when she hasn't said anything that's been proven, or she says something that has actually been disproven, because she is the most ignorant woman. Her, Joy, Whoopi, all of these people shouldn't have a fucking platform. And that's coming from someone like, I love Whoopi Goldberg as an actor or actress. She should stick to that.
And they were begging people to care about it for years. We need to take some less.
That's what that was. Another demographic for people that overwhelmingly showed up to vote against Kamala were Muslims. In a Michigan-specific poll of 502 registered Muslim voters, Stein got 59% support, followed by Trump at 22%, and Harris with a tiny 14% of the vote. The results show significant backlash to the Biden administration's handling of Israel's brutal war in Gaza, which has killed at least 43,508 Palestinians, including more than 16,765 children, as well as how the Harris campaign chose to tackle the issue. So how exactly did they tackle that issue? Why, sending that old pervert freak Bill Clinton up to Michigan to talk down to Muslims about Palestine.
I understand why young Palestinian and Arab Americans in Michigan think too many people have died. I get that. But
Muslims really said, we hate you more than the guy that talked about a Muslim ban. Just a side note, look at this fucking guy. It's like he hasn't had his daily dose of adrenochrome in a week. Someone get this man a fresh child stat. Muslims, Latinos, who else are we gonna blame? Ah yes, women. Yes, Trump improved with young men, but he drew in young women too.
Wow, look at that. 52% of all women who look like me are stupid.
Despite making abortion...
Yo. That's like the poster child for fucking being a Karen. And like, these people don't hear themselves. Nobody wants to look like you, lady. Go to a fucking gym.
The number one issue in her campaign, despite Brat Summer, despite the white women for Harris Zoom calls, and most of all, despite the Taylor Swift endorsement, Harris only managed to get +8 with women. Despite it all,
people don't even want to see Taylor Swift when she's supporting her boyfriend in the NFL. Why would we fucking care who she supports?
40%
only a bunch of teenage girls care about that.
In fact, so many women voted for
Thank
him.
God they can't vote.
Women on TikTok started wearing blue bracelets to signal to other women that they were one of the good ones who didn't vote for Trump.
Swifties, I'm buying as many blue beads and blue hearts as I can, and I'm gonna make bracelets so we know who we can trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the ones wearing the red bracelets are gonna free and come after you. They're coming after those cheeks.
Anyway, some young women in response to Trump's
Jesus
victory
Christ.
are starting
So
to get
fucking
into
stupid.
the 4B movement. A movement started in South Korea. Basically, MGTOW for women. Women giving up on dating men, having sex with men, having babies, marriage, whatever.
They've already gone that way. And it's these women that look like that.
We are taking coochie off the table indefinitely.
Cancel all
Ew.
future plans.
Nobody
with men.
wants it.
4B is where it's at. Use their own stupid traditional views against them. Say that you don't want sex before marriage. Say that you are waiting for the right man. They will be seething because they are sexually dependent on women who they call sluts. See, this is the best angle. No sex before marriage. Give them what they voted for. So conservatives won the election and women are threatening to not sleep around. It kind of seems like the conservatives won a little more than just the election.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did we stop
Tell me if
OnlyFans?
you're interested in that. I don't know. Anyway, young men did come out and support Trump, and apparently for the reasons I and many others predicted. We asked young men why they voted for Donald Trump. Here's what they said. Nick Sumners, a 21-year-old cosmetic car repairman from Virginia, says he is pro-choice, but when he voted in the 2024 presidential election, he did so for Donald Trump. Despite his personal beliefs, he says that Trump talks about the American people in a way that resonates with him, without, in his opinion, faulting him for his gender and sexual orientation. I'm a straight white
And that's
man,
it.
and I feel like we take the blame for a lot of things.
Instead of trying to make us understand you, you villainize us because it doesn't make sense to us. You villainize people because for thousands of years things have been a certain way in every culture, and all of a sudden now it's okay to change the rule book. And because the people who are questioning why the rule book is being changed, they are the crazy people. they're the ones that are bad people. Logic doesn't exist. You've ever heard the phrase that, and I'm not saying that I agree fully, but I'm not saying I disagree, that men think logically and with their like logic side of their brain, and women think with their emotions. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. And I think that fear is a big reason why. Like, how many people have you heard say some sexist stuff and it sounds sexist, but it's like a genuine fear that, like, oh, Kamala can't be president. What's going to happen if she gets too emotional and decides that she wants to freaking nuke somebody? You can't. It doesn't work. I'm sorry. That's not how this country was built. That's not how this country grew to be as great as it has been. And for everyone's like, oh, it's not that great, we've done all these bad things. Yes, we have. Like, and you enjoy all the benefits of it. You're welcome.
Of course there are bad guys, he adds, insisting that he's not one of them just because he voted for Trump. But what appealed to him about Donald Trump was that his campaign was not coming after us. He was highlighting the American people, which we are. It doesn't matter what color you are, what you may identify as. Since I wasn't excluded, I resonated with it. When you tell a young white guy, hey, you're an oppressor, and because you're white, you have privileges that your black and Hispanic peers didn't have, and you're inherently at fault, or you're guilty for that, which is what a lot of the left wings or Democrats are saying. We're not racist, we're not misogynistic, we're just normal people, and we are friends with everyone. We're tired of hearing a lot of this BS from a lot on the far left. I feel like there's this cultural frustration that young men have that they're not allowed to be young men. I hope the male loneliness epidemic eats you MAGA scum alive. I hope you feel a hole in your soul and feel
That's a big thing too, is like when men say that there's a male loneliness epidemic, there's men killing themselves, and women are like, we don't fucking care. And then they ask us, men, why don't you come out and support us? Don't you love your women? Honestly, for the love of God, eat a dick.
Loved until your dying day. I hope you rot in your deathbed, wondering why women looked at you like you had rabies your whole life as your eyes closed for the last time. Unfortunately, the all men suck branding just isn't good for getting men to ally with you. Oh no, it can't be! Is that the consequences of my own actions? Yes, the reasonable and rational men know you aren't talking about them, but maybe it's time to realize that most men aren't reasonable and rational. How do you speak to young men when they're literally Nazis? Why are Gen Z males...
Yeah, as a black man, I'm a Nazi.
How do we get young men to get on board with the young men eat and die movement? Hear me out. Maybe not calling them Hitler Youth.
Imagine a bunch of fat girls with blue hair and like different color rainbow hair who just tell you that you are a piece of shit because you're a man, or because you don't believe in the things that they believe in, or because you called her a her because she's a girl, but she doesn't identify as a girl. You know what? I identify as a white lesbian woman. That doesn't mean that people with fucking eyes can't see that I am not that. And I can't be mad at people for not knowing how I internally identify when the facts are on the fucking table, the proof's in the pudding, so to speak. I'm just like, it's just fucking mind-blowing to me that people actually lack that many fucking brain cells and common sense.
After the election, a YouTuber I am subscribed to uploaded a video called How the Right is Winning Young Men, and I was excited to see his take. But then it comes time to talk about men's issues, and this is how he did it.
But this is the part where I want to enter the male...
Oh, the guy who
epidemic.
dresses like a woman?
I know, we're all tired of hearing.
The entire idea of the male loneliness epidemic is it's this idea that really centers men and men's feelings. The premises of...
Oh, but let's center your whole feelings and stuff around your whole campaign is literally centering women's feelings and trans people's feelings and LGBTQ2. All these people's feelings that make up like a minority of the goddamn population. Not women, but I'm talking about like the different little sub-genres of people. And then the men are sitting back and going like, yeah, but what about us? We're not saying anything about your guys' rights or anything. We're just saying, hey, what about us? And then you're like, hey, fuck you. You guys got yours. And it's like, nah, bro. This is the problem. You guys are, it's like almost like you guys try to coup and try to take over, and it didn't work, and now you guys are upset. And I hope all those shows, freaking The View, MSNBC, all of these shows that are like really biased views, even Fox News, I hope they all freaking, it's fake. I hope it all, you start getting it from directly from the source. Get it directly from the horse's mouth fucking itself.
Quite a flawed premise to begin with.
I agree. I also, I have such mixed
Says the dude with does he have fake breasts?
I do. Unpopular though it is on the left to like give grace to the male loneliness epidemic. I have mixed feelings about it. I'm picking my words carefully so the leftists don't murder me. Like, don't rake me over the coals for this. But I think that I understand as much as I can understand a heterosexual man.
Yeah, I think we found the answer to the video title. I have to pick my words carefully so my own movement doesn't attack me for caring about men's issues.
Being a man and caring about men's
and you
issues.
Can't talk about this without having to walk on eggshells and...
Sometimes I wonder, and this is like, and I'm not talking about like sexual preferences, because I feel like everyone's got their sexual preferences. You know, you like freaking wieners, you like vaginas, whatever. My thing is like, I wonder if some of the men or like the boys growing up that decide that they feel like they want to be women feel that way because of how they see men get treated. Just a thought. Like Chris Rock made that joke that the only things that get unconditional love are women, children, and pets, and men are kind of screwed in that. It couldn't be more true, and I think that this election is showing now more than ever that it's like, as much as women are standing up, like men are standing up too, because realistically, your life, a lot of the things that you were enjoying right now was created by a man, and this country was built by the hands of men. When you need your pipes fixed because something went wrong plumbing, who do you call? Do you call a woman to come fix that? No, probably not. When you have like a house that you want built, do you think there's like a crew of women that come out and do that? When there's trees that need to be chopped down and things like that, power lines that need to grow up. I'm not saying that it's not possible or those women don't exist. I'm saying that there's a majority of men doing these jobs that keep what made America great. Like, it's just, I don't know. You guys just don't understand, and that's the problem.
Fear of your own allies ripping your head off. Maybe that is part of the reason men are moving right. Also, I feel like this is really important to say. I don't think all these men are moving right. I think just a lot of them hate the Democratic Party and feel alienated from the left. So what was the overwhelming takeaway from the Democrats?
It's literally
to actually
either
start listening to men?
catered to what women
Instead,
want
the solution,
and
once again,
transgender
seems
people
to
want,
be,
or what America wants.
we need a liberal Joe Rogan. We need a liberal Joe Rogan ASAP. We need a left-wing Rogan. Democrats are gonna keep losing and...
Okay. Like, I've made it very clear, obviously, with like how I've reacted to a lot of this, like, and what I said in the beginning. I'm very conservative. I vote right. I didn't even watch the Trump Joe Rogan interview. I didn't want it to influence me in any way until after I seen some clips and things, like little snippets here and there from their conversation. I did see Trump on The Undertaker, the wrestler. I'm a big WWE guy. Like, I seen him on his podcast, and like, it was just like a normal it was more like Trump interviewing Undertaker, and then like Undertaker had his daughter come out and speak to Trump, and it was kind of along the lines of her being an athlete and not wanting to compete against transgendered athletes and things like that, or men in their sports. And the way he sat down and just like talked to her like he was her grandfather or something like that, as a single dad, man, like that's something that meant a lot to me. I don't see Kamala Harris talking to anybody in a genuine way. Or any Democrats for that matter, talking to anybody in a genuine way. You go on The View, they don't even let people talk. If you have a quote view that is different than their view, they don't let you talk. You or you're stupid, or you're like, the way they try to phrase it is like anybody who voted a certain way that isn't their way, clearly it's just because they're unintelligent. Like, that's crazy to me. That is absolutely crazy, because it's like, I don't think you're unintelligent because you voted left. I think that you're unintelligent because you thought that you could manipulate people into doing what you wanted them to do. You thought you could manipulate whole races that you have been for years into doing what you wanted. And it's made certain people like Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, Beyonce, all those people that you think that we worship as black people or minority people, they lost credibility with a lot of us. Like, I don't want to hear Obama say anything anymore after he just tried to say, oh, you guys don't want to vote for Kamala because she's a woman. What's her name? Just so I don't mess it up. Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard. I believe that she will be the first woman president. If she runs, obviously, I don't know if she has any like desires to do that. But Tulsi Gabbard is somebody that, like, as a man, I feel like she is going to do what's best for America. Not for women, not for men, not for black people, not for white people, not for rich people, not for poor people, for America. And that is where people need to stop fucking, like, as awful as this is to say, one of the craziest things that happened and like that came from September 11th was the fact that it united our country. It was no longer Democrats versus Republicans, right versus left, whites versus black, none of that. It was America versus everybody. Like something like that always stood out to me, like that Toby Keith song. Like, we'll put a boot in your ass. It's freaking the American way. Like, that shit is what America is built on. And since Trump has became president, you got wars, ceasefires, like war stopping, ceasefiring. Like, you can't tell me that that shit would have happened under the other party, because it didn't. Instead, we pulled out of those situations when it's like, yo, we built this muscle for a reason. If we're not going to flex it when we need to flex it, then we are not doing our job. Like, what did we build it for?
Until they have their own Joe Rogan, their own Elon Musk, until they create their own alternative to Fox News. People saying Harris should have done Joe Rogan are missing the point. That wouldn't have helped her. Liberals need to build their own Joe Rogan. Oh my god, we need a liberal Joe Rogan. You had a liberal Joe Rogan. His name was Joe Rogan. But he was too edgy, too problematic, said too many no-no words, talked to too many no-no people about no-no topics.
And Joe Rogan's not even one way or the other. He just votes for whoever's the best.
Freaked the out and smeared him for weeks. The left can't have a Joe Rogan because everything that makes Joe Rogan is not allowed on the left. Kamala Harris dished Joe Rogan podcast interview over progressive backlash fears. So Joe Rogan was too problematic, but Liz Cheney was fine? Listen, you don't need a leftist Joe Rogan or liberal Joe Rogan. You just need leftists and liberals to go on Joe Rogan. And that means not giving a shit about being canceled by your own movement.
Look, you can have an argument with Rogan, agree with him, disagree with him, but what's the problem going on in those shows? I got vilified by some of the Democratic establishment because I went on Rogan's show. Now a lot of other people are doing just that.
Anyways, liberals should start doing podcasts and TikToks and whatever aimed at setting the youth straight. Ah yes, there's nothing the youth enjoy more than being set straight.
We don't have the equivalent of Joe Rogan and
Right.
Jordan Peterson to move that man in a feminist direction.
But you see, so here's the thing. Do you notice how they bring up two people right there? Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson. You notice they bring up two people that have been vilified in the media at certain points. Anytime that they say anything, these dudes are made out to be crazy. Oh, they believe in aliens, which now freaking, like, the government's coming out and like, oh, the aliens are real. It's like, I don't know. For us, even as humans, to believe that humans are the smartest thing on this planet when we know damn well we are some of the dumbest creatures in this like universe is mind-blowing. But it's like shit like that. It's like we don't have a Joe Rogan and we don't have a Jordan Peterson. If I remember correctly, you guys made them out to be crazy. But now you want somebody like them? These dudes aren't influencing us because they have some type of like brainwashing thing or anything like that. They're just reminding us and waking us up that, yo, the Matrix, so to speak, is fucking real. And you guys need to wake up because this is not what you guys were taught growing up. Things have changed. There's definitely been some type of weird shift that tried to happen, and I think this is the first time it's being cleansed.
By the way, we should educate men that it's actually really great to live with a strong woman who makes money. It's
Even like Andrew Tate and stuff like that. Those people,
We're going to be under Republican rule for the next
they
100
speak
years,
to
aren't we? Trump's
men
win leaves Democrats
because
asking,
they say real
where
shit.
are our bro whisperers?
Not because we
have to
agree
make
with everything they say or that we
engaging
want to be
content that men
pimps,
want to watch
like
care
and
about.
misogynists.
Then, over time, you pepper in more progressive views. So you want to start a normal podcast and then start sprinkling in propaganda? Should you even be saying this out loud? Dems need to seriously put all their money into creating propaganda networks to compete with the right's massive amount of propaganda. Democrats need their own propaganda machine, and I'm not even joking a little bit. First of all, again, I don't think we need better propaganda.
And then they don't hear themselves talk. They think that we've been manipulated so much because that's how they get their people. That we've been manipulated and brainwashed into voting a certain way. No, we've just noticed that there's brainwashing and clearly it's someone trying to change the way we think about shit instead of being this melting pot of a country that we are. A place where like different thoughts and different beliefs and things can exist and still be America.
Is something you should be saying out loud. Second of all, Democrats already have that, and have had it for decades. It's called Hollywood. It's called every celebrity, every institution, every piece of media, from movies to video games. Every celebrity from Beyonce to Taylor Swift endorsed her. She had Cardi B at all her rallies. She got the fucking Avengers together.
Hi, you guys. Hi, Avengers.
Hey, Scarlet. Trump is literally Thanos. By the way, with all these like journalists
Which is
and people talking
badass.
about how we need a
I'm just saying, Thanos is the most badass villain ever. And you know what the weirdest thing is? Like that comparison that she just said, like, oh, Trump is Thanos, and it was a joke. But you know why Thanos and why those last two Avenger movies were so freaking amazing? Like, because, and like, they had somebody who was believable. Like, Thanos wasn't this oversized monster. Like, he was big. He wasn't this like crazy like demon or anything like that. He talked like a man who just wanted the best for his people and the people that he loved. Was it crazy, a lot of the stuff that he wanted? Yes. But was Thanos a bad person? Thanos was America. Like, as awful as it like sounds. It's like Thanos was America. That was Captain America.
Liberal Andrew Tate, liberal Joe Rogan. Yeah, be prepared to see some of the most forced, overproduced, astroturfed streamers and YouTubers to pop up overnight and subtly or not so subtly start shilling for the Democratic Party. You're gonna start seeing funded DNC plants all over YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, because they really do think the answer to all of this is more podcasts. All the funding in the world will
Yeah, because of people like Kai and Aiden Ross and how popular they are and stuff like that. And it's like, no, but yes, they are influencers and they may influence a young demographic of people who really can't vote anyway. But a lot of those people like Kai and Aiden and shit, like what I was just mentioning with Thanos and stuff, the reason they're like relatable is because they're real, they're just themselves. So when they do come out and support a certain people, and like I don't think Kai supported anyone, but like Aiden like comes out and supports Trump and things like that, it feels genuine because you just know he's a genuine person. Unlike somebody coming out who you know has been paid to show up.
You an audience. You could have $1 million set and the best sound and video equipment ever, but it will not buy you a large and dedicated audience. I've been using a Mac laptop webcam and a shitty snowball mic for over 10 years, and you idiots keep coming back for some reason. And listen, it's 2024. Y'all have a camera and a microphone. Be the liberal Joe Rogan you want to see in the world. But the thing is, if people can hear your opinions when they turn on the TV, they're not gonna watch your shit. People tune into alt media to hear alt opinions. Even the most popular leftist streamers, like Hassan, for example, spend a lot of time criticizing the Democratic Party. So it's gonna be hard to build some kind of like Democrat shill Joe Rogan. But I can't wait to see you try. After the election, one of the only politicians I've seen who is actively trying to understand why people voted the way that they did is AOC. When I met her, I whispered into her ear, "Take the pronouns out of your bio." And she did. My influence. Anyway, after the election,
AOC is another woman that I think could really have a shot. And that's coming from someone who, like I said, votes right wing. She speaks well. She seems like she understands both sides, even if she doesn't agree with both sides, and leans more one way than the other. And that is everything America is. Not saying she could be persuaded one way or the other, but she is one of those people that I think has that opportunity. Like if you put her up, would have had an opportunity more than Kamala, because Kamala sounds stupid and doesn't know what she's talking about. If you put even Michelle Obama, would have had a better chance. Michelle Obama might have been your guys' Trump on your side, as far as like people who, she has such a big following that people, and she is well spoken. But the more, I don't know, I guess personally, the more you hear these people talk, you realize they're not saying anything. And the more people like Trump and his vice president and the people that he's hiring say stuff, and you're like, well, that makes me kind of uncomfortable. It's because it's like so many, we've been censored for so many like years now that it feels uncomfortable to be truthful and say what you're thinking. And that is like, that goes against everything that America stood on, and it's like freedom of speech.
AOC found out that a ton of people voted for her down ballot.
Cancel culture's whack as hell.
For president on the same ticket. Curious, she took to her Instagram to ask people why they did that. And these were some of their answers. I feel like Trump and you are both real. It's real simple. Trump and you care for the working class. But also you signified change. Trump signified change. I've said lately, Trump sounds more like you. Loved ones say you're both straightforward in challenging corruption and broken government. Because it's different than what has been the last 4 years. Something had to go. I feel that you both are outsiders compared to the rest of DC and less establishment. Voted Trump, but I like you and Bernie. I don't trust either party establishment politicians. The replies, of course, were full of people like, these idiots, these morons, these fools. Most depressing shit I've ever seen. These people sound dumb as hell. Such staggering ignorance and stupidity. The median voter. I hate the median voter. I want to destroy the median voter. Why is the median voter this stupid? I hate the median voter. How could this be real? Americans really are the dumbest gentlemen on earth. This is giving me a headache. I don't understand the median voter. Listen, it's really not that hard to understand. It's populism, honey. It's why when I went to January 6th and told a bunch of boomers I was a Bernie supporter, a ton of them reacted like this.
I think he's one of the few honest people I think he's honest.
He beat Hillary Clinton, and he would have beat Joe Biden, too.
People hate empty...
And that's the thing is, like, most people on the right, we all believe that. We listen to Bernie talk, and it's an hope that would be a debate. That would be something like between him and Trump, where we'd be like, no, he's got a point. He's got a point. But when you put fucking stupid up there, and then you get sad because, like, we're not gonna sit there and just, like, roll over for it, nah.
Suits that sound like they're constantly reading from a script. They want someone who tells it like it is. Someone who fights for the everyman, or at least sounds like they do.
How are you feeling about Trump's upcoming presidency, Trump 2?
I voted for him.
Oh, you like AOC?
Yeah.
Did you vote for her?
Yeah. Remember one thing about why people voted for Trump. They want change.
We want change and we want authenticity.
The establishment, and will vote for anyone who promises to destroy it. And the fact that none of you understand this is a big reason why you lost and will continue to lose until you do understand it. Capiche? The beatings will continue until the populism improves. How could people have voted for this felon? How could they vote for Trump, especially after January 6th, where he led a bunch of his supporters to destroy that beautiful, shining beacon of hope? Well, first of all, you have to understand that that's not a shining beacon of hope to most people. That is a dirty, disgusting brothel that sold out the future of their children and will probably send them into the next World War. After all the indictments, the mugshots...
Most of us are in debt and we'll never see that place.
People clearly don't care about January 6th. And that might scare some people, but the truth is, a politician that promised...
I am in so much fucking debt that the last thing that I ever think about is what happened to the fucking White House, dude.
This is safety and affordable food can do 100 January 6s. It's kind of like FDR said. Democracy has disappeared in several other great nations, not because the people of those nations dislike democracy, but because they had grown tired of unemployment and insecurity, of seeing their children hungry while they sat helpless in the face of government confusion and government weakness through lack of leadership. Finally, in desperation, they chose to sacrifice liberty in hope of getting something to eat. Speaking of FDR, let's talk a little bit about the guy that FDR stole a bunch of his ideas from, shall we? Someone who the modern Democratic Party should probably try and learn from. That's right, I finally found an excuse to talk about my favorite politician. The man, the myth, the legend, the kingfish himself, Huey Long. Huey Long was the 40th governor of Louisiana from 1928 to 1932. He was a populist member of the Democratic Party and rose to national prominence during the Great Depression. He took on big oil and Wall Street and drastically helped lift Louisiana out of poverty. Long had many supporters and haters, and to this day is celebrated as a populist champion of the people, and at the same time, denounced as a fascist demagogue. To give you a better idea of who Huey was, here are some quotes from the man himself. Corrupted by wealth and power, your government is like a restaurant with only one dish. They've got a set of Republican waiters on one side and a set of Democratic waiters on the other. But no matter which set of waiters brings you the dish, the legislative grub is all prepared in the same Wall Street kitchen. The only difference I ever found between the Democratic leadership and the Republican leadership is that one of them is skinning you from the ankle up and the other from the ear down. But Huey Long wasn't some enlightened centrist, no. The man firmly had a side, and that side was the people. I'm for the poor man. All poor men. Black and white. They all gotta have a chance. They gotta have a home, a job, a decent education for their children. Every man a king. That's my slogan. When asked if he cared about the bad press he got, Huey replied, "All I care about is what the boys at the forks of the..."
So I think that's also a big problem too, is that just the division that they try to cause is like, I care about the poor man or anything like that. Like, as somebody who's far from rich, that sounds really nice, right? But as also somebody who hopes and like prays to God that he can get into a place where I can be out of debt and I can buy a house for my son and like have a backyard for like my animals to run. Like right now, if something happened, like where like an emergency happened, I would be screwed. Like I wouldn't have any way to deal with it. And that's like an awful like position as a man to be in, especially when you are like, I have like a son who's getting ready to go into middle school and stuff, and he's super smart. He understands a lot, and so for me, it's hard to not be Superman. And in his eyes, I'm Superman, but it's hard to not be able to take him to do whatever he wants to do when he's like that good of a kid. Like, I want to be able to, you know, take him to do things, and I'm in a position like currently to where like I can't do those things. And I can't say it's the government's fault. It's like I've made bad decisions. Like, I bought a truck that I probably should not have bought, and ended up having to like voluntary repo that truck because, you know, I couldn't afford the payments. I couldn't keep up with the like facade that I put on. And like, the one thing I learned out of all of that is that like, it kind of goes in waves, right? Like, you hear rich people talk about all the time that how they can lose it all and get it all back because they've done it before. That's how I feel about this whole like, oh, I'm for the poor people, I'm for the rich people. It's like, I hope one day I'm rich. So it's like, I don't need a government that's for one and for the other. Like, no, like, let's just get to a place where like we're taking care of our fucking people. That's plain and simple. Like, I do agree, like, everyone should have a chance to do that. Like, have a chance to have a house, have a chance to have a good job and stuff like that. It just shouldn't be so fucking hard to do those things. Like, time is the most valuable thing on this freaking planet, and like, once it's gone, and like, you could have all this debt and everything in the world, but it's like, you could like, and be stressed out because every day you wake up, you got 3 emails telling you that you got credit card debt and coming, like, and then the doctor calls and tells you, hey, by the way, you have cancer and you only have this long to live. All of that other shit doesn't even matter anymore. And the fact that we have to exchange our time, which is our most valuable, like, that's why we're here, is like, I mean, especially like, what is the purpose of having families and stuff like that if you can't ever be with them because you're busting your ass trying to just keep food on the table or give them the life that you wanted for them, but you don't get to be a part of that. I don't know.
Creek, think of me. And when Big Oil threatened to leave Louisiana, he said, if they gotta leave, they can go to hell and stay there. They don't make politicians like this anymore. Politicians used to be like mob bosses. Now they go on Call Her Daddy podcasts. Sad. Huey had many powerful enemies, and because of this, he was assassinated in 1935. His last words were allegedly, God, don't let me die. I have so much to do. There's a lot of talk online right now about how we need a Joe Rogan for the left and Andrew Tate for the left, but there's also talk about how we need a Donald Trump for the left, and well, Huey Long was exactly that. And to be completely honest,
you got your Donald Trump for the left. He's here.
You couldn't even handle Bernie Sanders.
Daddy's home.
You called him a sexist and a racist and did everything in your power to crush him and keep him down. But unlike Bernie, Huey Long wouldn't just lay down and take it. Huey Long would scare the shit out of the modern Democratic Party. But if there's anyone they need to take a lesson from, it's him. Alright, time to get out of this costume. I feel like an old hooer. It should come as no great surprise that the Democratic Party, which has abandoned working class people, would find that the working class had abandoned them, Bernie Sanders said in a statement about the results of Tuesday's election. While the Democratic leadership defends the status quo, the American people are angry and want change, and they're right. Will the big money interests and well-paid consultants who control the Democratic Party learn any real lessons from this disastrous campaign? Will they understand the pain and political alienation that tens of millions of Americans are experiencing? Do they have any ideas as to how we can take on the increasingly powerful oligarchy, which has so much economic power? Probably not. All the groups that Sanders originally courted, young people, Latinos, the working class, are gone. And I don't know if they're coming back. Maybe this is a one-time thing, maybe it's just because of Trump or inflation, or maybe the meme is coming true. Maybe Republicans are the new party of the working class. Democrats' working class exodus sets off reckoning within party. Democrats, who have long prided themselves as the party for the little guy, instead strengthened their emerging base of financially secure college graduates this election, while a growing number of blue-collar voters embraced Trump and Republicans. Especially alarming for Democrats this election, the exodus of working-class voters from the Democratic Party included not just white voters, but helped Trump make gains with Latino and black men. This realignment crystallized a political reality that is tough for Democrats to swallow. With blue-collar voters flocking away from their party over multiple election cycles, Democrats' refashioned base is becoming more upper-class, urban, suburban, and coastal. It's a narrowed coalition that does not bode well for future elections. To put things into perspective, the Trump coalition is closer to the Obama coalition than the Harris one is. That is crazy. That is wild. That is what we call a potential party switch. And I don't really care about how many leftists or Democrats cope about this. We have better union policies, we have better wages policy. Yeah, that might be true, and I agree, but we don't get to decide who the party of the working class is. The working class does. And if exit polls are anything to go by, basic left-wing economic policy is still incredibly popular. People just hate the Democratic Party. White men without college degrees are going to ruin this country. First of all, white men without college degrees built this country, bitch. Second of all, this is apparently a real Democratic Party strategist saying this. You want to know how to win 2028? Step 1. Stop listening to freaks like this. The election, if having a degree was a requirement to vote. And this is what the election would look like if everyone was allowed to vote. Oh wait. That's this election. I too hate democracy.
And I think Bernie Sanders is wrong. I think the more relevant question actually is, what is wrong with America?
Democrats have a smug problem.
People like you.
The day after the election, an NBC News chart circulated on Instagram that highlighting exit poll data showing that the more education you had, the more likely you would vote for Vice President Kamala Harris over President-elect Donald Trump. Some liberals used the occasion to look down upon the icky dummies who were too stupid to know they shouldn't vote for Trump. Yet Trump's victory was both definitive and diverse. He won broad swaths of the electorate, making significant gains in New York and California, and winning over larger percentages of Latino voters and young voters than in 2020. He also won a majority of first-time voters. Large factions of the left condescendingly believe that dumb people are the reason Trump won in 2016 and won again in 2024. And that patronizing, visceral vibe is obvious. It's a massive turnoff to many other voters. It is a mountain smug Democrats have to overcome if they want to reconnect with voters. Once, the coastal liberal establishment had an air of open-mindedness. But now, these elites have evolved into the provincial, narrow-minded scolds they once critiqued. All their education has narrowed their worldview. Their credentialism has built themselves a bubble in which to hide from reality. The contempt many liberals and some leftists have for the working class has never been more on display than it is right now. Even coming from some leftist YouTubers I watch that I know better and spend a lot of their time trying to bring people to the left. Your college degree does not make you any smarter than a working class person without a college degree. And more importantly, don't talk down to a vast majority of the population, because despite how badly you want to believe it, they are not stupid. They are the people who grow your food, build your houses, pave your roads, fix the plumbing in your luxury apartments.
Right? We're the ones that actually make more money doing the hard shit that you don't want to do. The things that made America what they are. You like that nice house you got? Guess what? More than likely, the dude didn't go to college who made that. Somebody who put a lot of time and hard work into learning how to do things that actually fucking matter.
Guess what? There are more of them than there are of you. So maybe you people should start listening to them instead of wagging your finger in their faces as if disagreeing with you is some moral failing, because it's not. These people aren't all racists and Nazis or whatever. They are normal people. They are the proletariat. They're who you should be fighting for. And they don't believe you are fighting for them. More importantly, there is a difference between being educated and being smart. IQ isn't just about how many books you've read or how many words you know. A lot of it is about pattern recognition, and boy did I recognize some patterns here. Maybe you guys should have listened to the bimbo with populist brain rot, because she seemed to be right about a lot of this. If the Democratic Party wants to win another election, they need to start understanding the importance of populism. Drop the divisive identity politics and focus on the bread and butter issues, or you are doomed. Become the party of Huey Long again, or you are doomed. But you know what? Maybe you're not doomed. Because if Trump fails to deliver on his promises, or we get like George Bush 3, it's totally possible that the populism vacuum will be open again. Will the Democrats take advantage of this and actually put up a good candidate? No. They're gonna put up like Pete Buttigieg or Gavin Newsom, and the populism vacuum will be filled by people like my Twitter mutual and soon-to-be Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance. That is still so weird. What do I do with this power? Hey, J.D. Best Buddy, I have an idea. It's called Patriot Care, and it's healthcare, but our tax dollars go to it instead of bombs. Doesn't that sound cool? If you can't beat 'em, join 'em. The fact is, this election was a complete rejection of the liberal ideology. Or it was just because of inflation and people want to afford eggs again. Yeah, it was probably that. It just kind of sucks to see the party you voted for your whole life, the party you grew up with, just get worse and worse over time. After this, the Democrats are gonna move right in the dumbest ways. They're gonna become like the new neocons, but gay. And I have no idea how a second Trump term is gonna go. I hope it goes well. I don't know. Congrats to RFK, I guess. I'll see you guys in the Adderall labor camps. Otherwise known as the concentration camps. Get it?
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Anyway, so that is enough of my yapping. Now I want to hear you yap. Why do you think
Like I
Trump
said, her
won?
shit is not
And
for the
what
soft.
could the Democrats do to win 2028? Anyway, if you liked this video, please consider subscribing. Also, if you can, donate to me on Patreon, or you could do a little tip with the little tip jar down below somewhere. It helps the channel a lot, and I appreciate it so much. And I will see you very soon with a new video that is very, very different than this one. Some of you might like it. I know a certain community will. But that is it for now, so bye!
Alright. So, that was the downfall of the Democrats. The truth about the 2024 election by Shoe on Head. It's a pretty good video. My rambling probably made it longer than it needed to be. But yeah, I will leave the link to this video down in the comments, or not in the comments, in the description. If you liked this video, you liked anything that we had to talk about here, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe, because it helps a lot, especially since I'm a new channel. And yeah, I will try to stay more consistent and get on my shit. Peace. Thank you.